Hey, so I wanted to share a few things with you about my Strada Easel 30-day challenge that I just recently completed. I decided to take this challenge this time. I did it last January, and it was really I experienced a tremendous amount of growth during that time frame, and I had set a specific goal to actually just get better at just more texture in my painting. Prior to that, I was painting fairly thin and didn't really have a lot of texture, and I really wanted to work on that, and it was really quite successful. So when I saw the challenge come around again, my first reaction was, no way, Jose, am I going to do this? And but after I thought about it for a while, I thought, this is an opportunity for me to kind of jump in and pick something to tackle again and really improve my painting. So at the time, as most of you know, my company had shut down after a 25-year career. So I was in the process of searching for what my next move was going to be, and so when I started this, I wasn't working, I was unemployed, and so it wasn't too difficult to choose Nocturnals, which is something I really wanted to get better at. So I decided to paint Nocturnals for my 30-day challenge, and lo and behold, a little over halfway through the challenge, I was offered a position with Habitat for Humanity, which I accepted, and I began working. So the good news is I got through it, I completed it, and I was able to just continue to paint at night while starting a new job and all of that. And it really worked out great. I couldn't ask for a better experience than this one was, because my wife actually said, if you're going to paint at night, why don't you paint our local community? Why don't you paint the businesses downtown? And so I drove around downtown, and sure enough, I thought, wow, that's great. There's some nice storefronts here. And I'll tell you, at first I thought, man, I don't know if I'm going to have enough material to go for 30 days. But when it was over, after being downtown every night and actually looking at all of the different streets and lights and just everything that's down there, I could have gone another 30 days and not even have to think about running out of material. So that's what I did. I decided to start painting the businesses, and if you saw my videos, which I have to tell you, I'm not that proud of the videos, because I just don't have the equipment really to video a nocturnal painting the way that it should be videoed, and none of those videos were really up to what I would consider my standard. But since one of the things that's really important to me is to maintain true to what I began this channel on in the first place, and that is to just present things in an authentic way. I just present it as it is. So there's a handful of nocturnal videos that that are just as they are. Maybe not that great, the lighting is terrible, but you get a sense of the experience anyway if you do watch those videos. And it's a challenging endeavor for sure to paint at night, and on top of that, try and video and paint at night. Eventually, one of these days, I'll have the equipment I need to actually film a nocturnal correctly, and it's a tricky ordeal. But anyway, enough about that. So painting the businesses was actually a really good idea, and it was for a number of reasons. There are some really cool and interesting storefronts in our community, and I'm sure this is true for everyone's community. The thing is that, if you think about it, if you live in a small town, or how often are you wandering around downtown between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., especially when most towns like mine, they basically close up at 6, 7 o'clock, except for a couple of businesses who remain open. The brew pub and the local bar, those may stay open longer. And but other than that, everyone's closed, and I just don't find myself down there very often. So painting the storefronts, I got to meet some of the business owners, because what I did is I started to tag them, because I thought to myself, wow, I bet they would really like to see the work I'm doing. So I tagged myself tag myself. I don't think I need to tag myself. I tagged the business owners in the on Facebook, and they responded, and it was just really cool to meet some of them. And I mean, there was one particular night I was down painting in the street in front of Previously Pink, and the owner came out with her dog and saw me there, and we got to chat. And then while she happens to live above her business, and while we were chatting, another business I painted a couple nights before that, she opened the window because she's her next door neighbor. So, and then we were all three talking, and it just reminded me of kind of how it was. I just finished the audio version of Lust for Life, which is about Van Gogh's life, and it's written by Irving Stone. I have a 1-hour commute each way to work now, and listening to that was fantastic. And but the cool thing is while I was having this experience, I was listening to that at the same time, painting downtown, sleep deprived, and I think I had a better audiobook experience because of what I was doing in my real life, painting at night and tired, and having someone sit on their stoop and talk to me. It was just all really cool. It just made me realize that as plein air painters, we're carrying on a very important tradition here, and it's not to be taken for granted. I mean, the Impressionist, who painted outdoors and really kind of pioneered what it is that we get to enjoy today. They sacrificed a great deal in the face of just some major obstacles and scrutiny from the Parisians and different people of that time who didn't understand what they were doing. And the fact that we get to do it, and we get the opportunity to pass it on to the next generation so that they can also enjoy it. Because as you know, and I know, for those who don't paint in plein air and are only studio painters, until you do it and you immerse yourself in it, you really don't completely comprehend what the experience is actually like. And it's actually it's something that I've grown to just really cherish. So nocturnal plein air painting, I think in general the 30-day challenge really helped me. It really helped me improve my painting, because here's the cool thing about painting at night is you have to be really truthful with yourself and what you see, and it actually requires you to look even more intently than I think painting in the daytime does, because the values are so close together. And someone had asked me along the way, they had sent a comment over, that said, do your paints look different at night? And what's on your palette looks very different at night than it does in the daytime. But that's okay, because the fundamental thing that still remains is you have to be able to mix the color that you see with your eyes and be truthful to it. And here's what I mean by truthful to it, is that you see these places in the daytime and you know them. And one of my paintings, Phil's Galley as an example, and I'll show it to you here. I know that building to be sort of a yellowish color, and you have this thing that happens with this dialogue going on with your brain where because of the sodium light though, it's actually very green at night, but your brain is telling you that this building is yellow, but what you see with your eyes is actually green, and you have to make yourself mix and paint each of the colors that you actually see, or nocturnal painting doesn't work. And this is one of the things that, you know, I believe I learned through this process is just this whole idea of trusting in just taking what your eyes see and mixing it on your palette and then putting it on the panel, because I can't think of anything greater for me to learn except for that, because we all have these inner dialogues when we're painting where, you know, we struggle with the concept of, you know, what does look like, what does that color look like, and how do I represent it? And I know we push things, you know, value wise and temperature wise, and to achieve things like distance and all of that. We sort of have to do that in order to tell the story, but in general, when you're painting nocturnally, it becomes even more important, because number one, the painting is, you know, it's fairly dark, but you still want it to read correctly in the daytime, and you want somebody to get the sense of, you know, like a light that casts orange on everything that is nowhere near orange in the daytime, but because of the light that's on it, it is at night. Is another good example, and it's worth the effort. So I would say if you haven't painted nocturnally, it is really worth giving a try. And as far as the 30-day challenge goes, this is it's a marathon, and I love it and I hate it. I hate it because it's hard, and I love it because it's hard, because I know deep down inside that if I do the hard things, that I'm going to accelerate my growth as a painter, and I'm just going to get better. So it's definitely a love-hate relationship, and any of you that have done it, you know exactly what I'm talking about when you hit day 11, day 12, and you get home from work and you go straight to a football game, and then you get home at 10:30 at night, and then you realize it's time to grab your paints and go out and paint. You know what I'm talking about. It's not an easy thing to do, but by forging through it and doing it, I'm a better artist for it in a lot of ways. So anyway, I just wanted to thank all of the business owners and people that I've been in touch with. The one restaurant in town, county seat, who has agreed to display all 30 of these paintings, and I think it's going to be wonderful when the people of the community can get a look at all of these paintings together, because it really does tell a pretty wonderful story. You know, for me, I think back and cherish every moment that I had. You know, the conversations that I had with people who were on the street, who just stopped by out of curiosity to see what I was up to, and the Pokemon hunters who stopped by every night as they were making their rounds, searching for their Pokemon, and the people who were smoking outside the bar, and the conversations that they were having, and the ones who came over and engaged with me, and the people who worked at the bar who came across the street and took a few minutes just to see what I was doing and appreciate and enjoy what I was up to. I could go on and on. You know, the guys from the brewery who one night, one of them, you know, brought me a bottle of beer over to take home and enjoy. And I didn't realize, and this is really interesting, and it should be intuitive, right? But it really wasn't for me. But the unbelievable sense of pride that our local business owners have in their individual establishments really is quite overwhelming to me. And I realized just after a few days of painting these businesses and these storefronts that I was really doing something privileged and something very special. And getting the opportunity to do this, you know, it almost had a really interesting sort of intimacy to it, and it was a major privilege for me. I loved it, and I'm glad that those of you who've written me and told me how much you enjoy what I've done, I'm glad that you too can appreciate it. So that's kind of my wrap on this. And you know, if the 30-day challenge comes around and Strada Easel does it again, I really recommend it. It's you know, if you're prepared for it and you kind of know what you're getting into, and you set yourself a very specific goal to say, I want to get better at this, and focus on that one thing for 30 days, it will change your painting. And as we all know, you know, as we grow as artists and as our paintings change, you know, it just really kind of improves the quality of our lives as artists. So as that, I will catch you later, and thanks for checking out my video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.